The Griffin and Kraken Knights are the coolest LEGO castle factions we've gotten in years, and I made 67 custom minifigures using their parts. Some of these turned out way cooler than expected, so if you're looking for inspiration for your own armies and figures, then you're in the right place. Starting off, we'll make some commanders for each faction. First, I'll make the Griffin King's brother with this Dane Ironfoot torso that I added Dragon Paladin arms to, along with these gold-plated legs from the Conquistador CMF. I like using a lot of gold accents for this faction since it looks amazing with the dark red, plus the original figures already lean into it. For the other one, I took this Gimli torso and added some Dragon Paladin arms to it as well, along with these chainmail legs to match the printing on the torso. I used more gold here with a gold visor and shoulder pads to help him stand out from the rest of the faction, and I also gave him this fancy feather from a Roman commander, which works incredibly well. There's a ton of good dark red torso options for making unique characters, and I'll show off some more later in the video when I get to the royalty. For the Krakens, I've gone in a totally different direction than the Griffins, as I want them to feel more like pirates as opposed to a traditionally structured faction. First, we'll make the human commander with this beautiful dark green breastplate paired with CMF Fright Knight legs. I finished him off with this tattered brown cape and a rugged face print, and he definitely fits the part for a Kraken Knight commander. I didn't make many traditional knight figures for this army since I wanted to lean heavily into the pirate feel, but I figured the commander should look a bit more standard. For the other commander, I really leaned into the Kraken side of the faction and used Davy Jones as the base. I was gonna use a teal torso, but I couldn't get the head to budge from the original, so I just leaned into the dark blue color scheme and made sure to give him some nice gold accents to help him stand out. You could totally use this Dreams beard along with a cheaper head to achieve a similar vibe, but I had Davy Jones, so I just went all out. I've actually added 8 different fantasy races to this faction, but we'll get to those a bit later in the video. Now, as a fantasy fan, I love adding some magic into my armies, so let's make some magic users for each faction. We'll start with this torso and legs from the Ninjago Anniversary Build a Minifigure parts, along with a beard to cover up the part of the torso that doesn't fit. This hat and hair combo from a CMF Dumbledore looks super clean and pairs nicely with the Griffin color scheme. Next, I've made a cleric using this flipped lobster loving Batman torso that I've added dual molded red and black arms to. I love this Neimoidian headdress from Star Wars as it gives a super unique look that just feels right for a cleric. Finally, I've made a sorcerer, pairing this excellent dark red Star Wars torso with some Kingdom's legs to match. I decided to give her fire powers, and to match that vibe, I used this lovely red hairpiece from Poison Ivy. The leaves on the back aren't perfect, but I really like the color and the little flower on the side. Moving on to the Kraken Knight spellcasters, I've made a couple warlocks and a witch. For this first one, we'll take this dress from Professor McGonagall and add this shark head from Macus. I wish the dress had teal on it instead of dark blue, but there's just not much teal in LEGO at all. Plus, the dark blue at least matches with the captain. For the other warlock, we'll take this head from a Star Wars alien and combine it with this dark green torso from the Forest Maiden that I've added teal arms to. I'll pick up some teal capes from Capes for Minifigs at some point, but for now, the dark green looks great. I'm a big fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, so it's fun to add some humanoid sea creatures into the faction. To make the witch, I took the D&D Elf Bard torso combined with Pirate Quartermaster arms, along with the Kraken legs. I used the sorting hat from Harry Potter and a cape that's naturally frayed over time to avoid giving her too clean of a look. Now, every army needs some heavier armored knights, and although my Krakens aren't the most armored faction, I still made a couple standard knights aside from the commander. I've added pearl dark gray arms to the Kraken torso and combined it with the Series 19 Fright Knight legs, and the combo looks great. I would definitely use it on some more figures if I was making the Krakens a more standard faction. For the other, I've given him more of a piratey look with this Conquistador helmet paired with the standard torso and legs, although I did swap in a peg leg. The dark brown one looks fine, but I really want to get some pearl dark gray peg legs to add to various figures in this faction at some point. For the Griffins, I tried out an interesting combo using this red breastplate with chainmail combined with the Griffin legs. I tried to stick to only using dark red with this faction aside from a couple unique characters, so I'm not sure how I feel about this. I may just save these breastplates for a different faction, but let me know what you think in the comments. A great breastplate option for this faction is the Dragonborn Paladin one, as it pairs really well with the original legs and the colors match up perfectly. This is a rough draft for my cavalry as I like them to be super armored, and I'll probably use a similar combo combo for heavy infantry, just with a different helmet. If you want a more standard style of breastplate that's silver and factionless, the Heroic Knight one works nicely paired with the Griffin legs, especially with some Dragon Paladin arms to continue the gold in the color scheme. I'm going to use this combo for a new sub-faction of my Crown Knights that'll be dark red based as opposed to dark blue. One more easy combo for these guys is the Griffin legs with the Scale Mail Crown Knight torso, as long as you swap out the blue arms. I haven't done a whole lot with this faction yet, as I was specifically waiting for the Griffin parts, but I'll build them out and make a video in the future. Going back to the Griffins, I threw together another knight using the original torso and legs with Dragon Paladin arms and some shoulder pads. I know the chainmail on the arms doesn't match with the Scale Mail style armor, but other than that, the color and overall design work really nicely with the Griffin parts, so I don't mind. I feel like every faction needs a champion. I haven't made one for the Krakens yet, although the commander could easily fit the part. But for the Griffins, I took the CMF Conquistador parts and added this beautiful gold Spartan helmet. I like that the plume matches the one on the commander, and I gave her this gold battle axe along with a hippogriff from Harry Potter that fits the Griffin look close enough. Moving on to some more standard members of the armies, let's make some ranged Kraken warriors. To add a bit more variety, we can use the Pirate Quartermaster torso with the Kraken legs, and with a little bit of dark green, we have a perfect member for the Krakens, especially if you're trying to lean into the pirate feel that I am. Next, we'll make an archer using a Sky Pirate head and legs combined with the Kraken torso and top him off with a brown Forestman cap. This guy looks great, and the Ninjago Sky Pirates overall have some great prints that work well with the faction. I made one more archer with a similar design, although I added more dark green to this one with some rogue legs and the dark green Forestman cap. Also, this brown neck scarf is the perfect addition since it's meant to fit with quivers. I definitely wish we had some more teal or dark green leg options for this faction, but sadly those aren't super common colors, especially for castle and fantasy figures. Let's make one last crossbowman with some unique parts. We'll take the Kraken torso with some short-sleeved arms and some dark brown Urukai legs to match, then finish the look with this dark brown helmet from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's an odd-looking helmet, but this is also kind of an odd-looking faction, so I think it works. Also, these Urukai legs match up really well with the Kraken torso. I'm a big fan of the combo. My Griffins are sort of the opposite to my Krakens because I envision most of them being heavily armored, so let's make a crossbowman with the original Scale Mail torso and combine it with the gold-plated Conquistador legs. Another great option is this Kingdom's Chainmail torso that has a bit of gold plating, which also matches nicely with the Conquistador legs, especially with the arms swapped to dark red. I gave them silver crossbows for a heavier look, and they match the Griffin aesthetic really well. To build an archer, we'll start with this old Viking torso that has some dark red arms swapped in and combine it with the extremely versatile legs from Tasha the Witch Queen. I still gave her a helmet for a more standard look, but for someone a little less armored, let's make a ranger. A lot of people I know were planning on combining Red Falcon parts with their Griffin Knights because the color schemes are the same. I've combined the torso with the legs from Tasha the Witch Queen again, although I avoided the double belt look by swapping around the hips. If this is too armored for a ranger though, then Tasha's original torso is a great option since it already has a dark red cape printed on the front. Just swap in some dark red arms and a hood and you've got a solid Griffin Ranger. I really need to order more dark red Mando capes from Capes for Minifigs so I don't have to keep swapping them around since I'll probably give them to just about the full army. Anyways, speaking of Red Falcons, they just got a lot cheaper to army build since you can easily pop a Black Falcon shield onto the Griffin torso and legs and boom, you've got a cheap Red Falcon. The Black Falcon shields are currently on Pick-a-Brick for 51 cents each, but I wouldn't wait too long since once they go out of stock, they'll probably be gone for good. Now, if you happen to already have Red Falcon torsos or don't mind spending a little extra to create a unique character, you can use the back of the Red Falcon torso with the Griffin legs. The chainmail and scale mail don't perfectly match up, but when viewed from a distance, the mismatch is barely noticeable and the combo still looks great. Moving back to the main factions of the video, let's create some basic infantry. A lot of people don't like the brown Viking helmets for the Krakens, and I don't mind them, but I think Pearl Dark Grey generally looks the best, so I've used the Pearl Dark Grey Viking helmet along with some Wolfpack Beastmaster parts to create an Axeman. I kept some brown armor by using these spiked shoulder pads, and this guy turned out great. I tried to keep the same style of helmet for this crew, so this next one uses an Urukai one. I also threw on some Beastmaster arms to keep some more Pearl Dark Grey in the color scheme, scheme, and this is just a simple yet clean design. An interesting helmet I found in my collection is this Marvel one, and it looks surprisingly similar to the Viking helmet if the lower parts were removed, although unfortunately a mask doesn't properly fit with it. I gave her a menacing Urukai sword and some spiky shoulder armor, and she fits the Kraken aesthetic nicely. As good as the Kraken torso is, there are also other torsos that can work well. You'll just generally want to pair them with the Kraken legs to keep some teal in the color scheme. One of the most versatile army building torsos ever is the Viking Lammerlier one, and when you add some dark green arms combined with the Kraken legs, it works wonderfully for this faction. Another torso that fits nicely with the Krakens is the Green Dragon Scale Mail one, although if possible, I'd recommend the version from the chess set, since those have copper accents instead of gold. Teal arms are surprisingly hard to find, but I'm definitely going to pick up some more in the future since they help blend other torsos with the color scheme. Before we move on to some more Griffin figures, let's make one more Kraken. I used the Pirate Quartermaster torso with Kraken legs once again, but I added a bandana and a cutlass to give more of that pirate feel. I love this double-sided cape from the D&D Halfling Druid since brown and dark green are two of the main Kraken colors. The super easy and cost-effective combo for Griffins is just the default torso and legs with whatever helmet, although if you want to make them a bit more interesting, you can get dark red Mando capes from Capes for Minifigs for around $1 to make even the most basic foot soldiers stand out a bit more. Another great combo is this old Viking Scale Mail torso, which matches up nicely with the Griffin legs. These are considerably more expensive, but if you already have some, they can add good variety. Moving on to royalty, we can make a Kraken King using this Dwarf Cleric torso along with CMF actor legs. Then we'll take the hair and crown mold from the Ocean King CMF to signify his status. He's got this dark green collar and this gold claw from an Aquaman CMF, which help him stand out and look a bit more interesting. I don't think I'll be making a full royal family for this faction since I'm probably going to make the king the last survivor of some tragic accident, but you could totally use other dark green or even sand green parts to create some royalty. You just don't have a lot of turquoise options. For the Griffin King, we'll take Godric Gryffindor's torso combined with some Lord of the Rings elf legs and add a dark red waist cape and some printed arms. The hair comes from a Roman Emperor CMF, and the simple yet fancy look pairs well with the figure. For the Queen, we'll take this dress from Dumbledore and add the fur cape from the Wolfpack Beastmaster. This hairpiece comes from Red Harrington from the Lone Ranger, and it works really well because it has a hole for a crown. We can make a princess using a dress from Kingdoms and add a dark red cape for a fancier feel. I'm not totally sure how I feel about this hairpiece though, since it might look a bit too messy for a member of the royal family, but I like how the color matches. For a prince, we'll pair a different Albus Dumbledore torso and legs with another dark red cape and add a hair and face print that match up with the rest of the family. We can also make another prince using the D&D Dwarf Barbarian torso, although I've paired it with the Griffin legs and some paladin parts to give him a more armored look while still feeling properly royal. Overall, this royal family looks great, and I definitely want to flesh out some lore for them, although I tend to be really indecisive when it comes to that stuff. Before moving back to the Krakens, I want to show off a few of the nobles and king's advisors, since there are just so many dark red parts that work well for building out this faction. The first one uses yet another Dumbledore torso and legs, combined with this white beard from Professor Flitwick and hair from Ninjago. Next, I've taken these Palpatine robes and added a dark brown cape for another simple yet clean figure. Finally, this one uses the torso and legs from Nearly Headless Nick that I've added some dark red to. Harry Potter parts just tend to work nicely for nobles and royalty. Now for the Kraken Knights, we've saved the best for last. First, let's throw together an orc pirate that combines the Kraken torso and legs with the arms and head from the Series 24 orc and a goblin hat to top it off. This guy perfectly fits the vibe I want the Krakens to give off, and although he's simple, I love how he turned out. Next, we'll make a jacked and angry elf using the Kraken legs with this shirtless torso that I've added fierce barbarian arms to for the leather bracers. Most of the time, elves are depicted as regal and thin, so this guy is the complete opposite to fit in with the Kraken Knights. Another fun fantasy creature is a fawn, and we already have the perfect hair and legs from Series 15. By combining them with the Kraken torso and an eye patch face print, we've got a properly piratey one. I also added these battle dwarf arms to add some pearl dark gray and a tattoo. Next, we've got a tiefling using a Star Wars alien head along with the D&D tiefling hairpiece. The torso is from the Series 4 Viking with some teal arms swapped in to match the Kraken legs. He wields a big, jagged sword along with some barbed wire to trap anyone who dare boards the Kraken ship. A dwarf seemed like the perfect addition to round off this motley crew, and since the medium legs come in teal, they were a perfect match for the Kraken torso. This fantasy-era dwarf helmet in brown looks a lot like the brown Viking helmet, so it fits perfectly with the color and look of the faction. I also made a shirtless guy that looks very dwarvish using a dwarf helmet and beard. He has these arms from Sherry's Scratch and Post, and they fit quite nicely with the rugged look of the faction. I might swap the Kraken legs for some medium teal ones, but I also don't mind him as a human. I love leaning into more fantastical elements for a faction like this, and I'll probably add some more fantasy races in the future, especially sea creature themed ones. Although the Kraken parts aren't super usable for any LEGO castle factions, the Griffin parts definitely are. I already showed a couple examples of this with the Red Falcons and a dark red version of the Crown Knights, but the torso by itself can work for almost any faction in my opinion. Standard Crown Knights, Horse Knights, Crusader Lion Knights, and they even look decent as a way to build up green dragons if you don't mind the silver. Just swap the arms to whatever the faction's color is, add matching legs, and there you go. One of my favorite factions for this torso is the Kingdom's Lion Knights, as you can add the armored paladin legs along with some red arms, and you've got a great base for a heavily armored knight. Speaking of knights, let's make a factionless one, using this beautiful dark red shield and helmet to match the Griffin parts. I used some side plumes along with this fancy gold plume to make him stand out, and he could easily be a special knight for the Griffins, although I wanted to keep him factionless. Moving on, we'll take the Griffin legs and pair them with another 2004 Viking torso. This one already has dark red arms, and I love how this combo looks for an armored adventurer. He's a very simple character wielding only an axe, but this face print and hair combo give him a lot of personality. If you're anything like me, then you have a bunch of armless paladin torsos from making customs, but a surprisingly good combo is the Griffin legs paired with them. I made a simple cleric with the combination, and I like how he turned out. For a Lion Knight Prince, I used this torso from Kingdoms with some paladin arms combined with the Griffin legs, and the dark red matches up super well. He looks both regal and armored, which I like. Yet another torso that matches well with these legs is the Nexo Knight's Demon one that I've added flat silver arms to, and with it, I've made a cloaked orc assassin, and he looks absolutely sick. Speaking of orcs, these legs aren't a bad option for upgrading Moria orcs, especially with the tattered waist cape from the Pirate Quartermaster. The silver is a bit too light compared to the torso, but let me know if you prefer these or the plain legs. While we're on the topic of Lord of the Rings, let's make a Rohan soldier with the Griffin parts. Throw on a dark green cape, add a beard, then grab either the Series 20 Viking helmet or the cheaper pick-a-brick one, and there you go. A feather is a nice touch as well, and if you happen to have an original Rohan shield, you can use that, although even a plain brown one or flat silver one could work. In my opinion, this combo looks really accurate to the movies. A couple other Lord of the Rings figures I made with the Griffin torsos were these dwarves. They're not based on any media in particular, they just feel like they belong in Middle-earth. I have a custom Rohan army and some other Lord of the Rings figures that I'm working on, so if you'd be interested in seeing some Lord of the Rings content, let me know. Finally, I've made a special figure with the Griffin torso, my new sig fig. I didn't want to tie my character to any faction, so I just used some generic armored parts along with the robe from the Graduate CMF to make a regal looking knight. I had so much fun making these figures and experimenting with all the different combinations. The Griffin parts are so versatile, and I love how the Krakens turned into this chaotic pirate crew as opposed to a traditionally structured faction. If you liked these custom minifigures and want more ideas for your own armies, make sure to subscribe because I've got a lot more castle and medieval fantasy content coming soon. Also, let me know in the comments which faction is your favorite and which custom minifigure was your favorite. As always, thank you for watching.